fait plaisir. Mais ma tête est pleine à propos des débats d'hier, alors...
Donc, est-ce que vous avez vu des exemples à suivre en politique canadienne dans le débat d'hier?
Mais je pense que c'est tout le monde qui ont vu ça, effectivement, que Kamala Harris vraiment a apporté la substance. Elle n'a pas attaqué Donald Trump, elle a simplement pointé certains faits. Je trouve que les modérateurs étaient excellents. Parce que c'est ça que ça prend. Quand on a une chef politique, Donald Trump est connu par le fait qu'il fait des mensonges autour de rôle. Le fait que les modérateurs ont pointé ça et ont donné les faits, je trouve ça extrêmement important. Alors, c'était un excellent débat.
Mais la leçon que vous en tirez en politique canadienne...
Mais je pense en politique canadienne, c'est important que les faits soient établis. Et je pense quand on parle des débats canadiens dans les prochaines élections, ça serait important de souligner. Quand quelqu'un fait une déclaration qui est invraisemblable, c'est important, je pense, dans un débat public que tout le monde regarde, que les faits soient établis. I was very impressed with Kamala Harris. I think most Canadians would have been last night. She was very, very effective. And I think the debate format was also important. Donald Trump has a tendency to lie. And it is important in a political debate that is so essential for the future of the United States that moderators intervene and establish the facts. And I thought both moderators did an excellent job of doing that, pointing out when there were simply false statements being made. And I think that's a good lesson for the Canadian debate. Eventually that will happen. We're going to have a federal election soon, at some point in the next year, certainly. And it's important, I think, that the public, when they look at a debate, that facts be clearly established. We see a lot of disinformation out there. A national debate is important, and to have facts very clearly announced, established, is a fundamental tenet of democracy. So I think the moderators did an excellent job, and I think for the next Canadian debate, we should hope to see the same thing.
La désinformation au Canada, on n'est pas rendu aussi loin, là. C'est-à-dire, est-ce que vous verriez un chef de parti affirmer que des immigrants mangent chiens?
Moi, je trouve qu'on frôle souvent la désinformation au Parlement. Et je trouve ça un peu... Et, sans citer des exemples, qu'est-ce qui est important dans le Parlement? Tous les députés sont libres de dire qu'est-ce qu'ils veulent, puis les chefs politiques aussi. Dans un débat, c'est d'autant plus important que les journalistes, parce qu'on a des excellents journalistes dans les deux pays, que les journalistes soient là pour établir les faits. Mais, il va falloir, j'ai une réunion à l'intérieur, alors je vais prendre juste une dernière question. Last question. I indicated when the bill was actually presented that we believed that there were some significant changes that need to be made, and when that continues to be our position.
So just to clarify, would you vote for this bill in its current form without the significant changes being made?
As I mentioned, when the bill was presented, we didn't feel that the bill did everything it needed to do, and we also felt that there were some concerns, very legitimate concerns, that have been raised around the bill. So we're in the process now of looking at what concrete changes can be made in any bill, as we talked about. As Jagmeet Singh has talked about, we're proceeding vote by vote, and on that legislation, like all other legislation, we will certainly give the chance for some discussions about how a bill could move forward, and if the government isn't in agreement with that, well, that would then lead us to a different conclusion.
So, generally, what are you hoping to accomplish here at this retreat? We haven't spoken to you yet, so just how did day one go on?
We're setting our plan for the fall, of course. We're also planning for what will be elections at the very longest in 1 year, quite possibly shorter. So we're establishing that. We have members of parliament from across the country, so we're comparing points of view. I've been hearing from my constituents. I've met with many thousands of them over the course of the summer. I have big barbecues, a couple thousand here, 1,000 there. And having those discussions are really important. We then bring all that information back that we've heard from our bosses, our constituents. We compare notes and we put in place our legislative plan, but also, of course, in this case, what we are looking to do and accomplish in the next election.
Il y a un nouveau sondage qui vient de sortir qui dit que la moitié des électeurs aimeraient avoir une élection maintenant que l'entente avec le NPD et les libéraux est déchirée. Est-ce que ça veut dire que vous êtes prêt à aller en élection cet automne, comme le demandent les électeurs?
Moi, je suis toujours prêt d'aller en élection. J'ai vécu 5 parlements minoritaires, alors je mets toujours mes pancartes de côté, je suis toujours prêt d'y aller. Et comme Jagmeet a mentionné, on va procéder vote par vote dans l'intérêt public au cours des prochains mois. Il faut vraiment que je quitte. Désolé, merci beaucoup. Oh, sure. I'd love to come back. I'd love to talk with all of you.
Yeah, certainly you're the mic.
Just on the debate.
Well, some other things. So, like, what did you think of what you saw, what you heard? What do you think about the comment about the cats and the dogs being eaten?
Well, I saw part of the debate. I didn't get to see it all, but from what I saw, it was evident that the moderator did his best to try to correct the lies from Donald Trump, and I think that certainly Kamala Harris has certainly had taken him to task by providing the facts. And so we hope that we will see a government that's going to be in place that will be led by Kamala Harris.
Maintenant que l'entente entre le NPD et les libéraux est déchirée, il y a des informations ce matin, et je ne sais pas si ce que vous entendez dans votre circonscription, mais il y a 47% des Canadiens qui disent que maintenant que l'entente est déchirée, on veut une élection. Entendez-vous ça chez vous?
Mais comme que j'ai mentionné hier, il y a des différents points de vue. Il y en avait avant et il y en a maintenant. Alors, c'est vraiment la décision du premier ministre s'il va y avoir une élection ou non. C'est toujours la décision d'un premier ministre. Écoute, c'est ça que c'est. La décision, c'est toujours la décision du premier ministre. S'il veut travailler avec un parti ou s'il ne veut pas travailler avec un parti. Mais nous, on va continuer à rouler nos manches, on va continuer à travailler pour le bien-être des gens. Comme j'ai dit hier, on a mis la fondation en place pour assurer que les politiques du NPD qui vont améliorer la vie des gens soient mis d'avant. Et on a pu réussir à plusieurs reprises, mais il y a certaines choses qui ne sont pas finalisées. Et ces priorités-là, c'est toujours la priorité du gouvernement de décider. C'est toujours sur le gouvernement pour décider si ça va être leur priorité aussi.
Les sondages ne sont pas très bons pour l'Ontario au NPD. Est-ce que ça, c'est une question qui remonte auprès du chef? Est-ce que c'est une préoccupation, vous entendez, au caucus?
Non.
Non.
Non, je peux vous dire que on a eu une très belle rencontre hier et on va continuer notre travail. C'est certain que les sondages montent puis qu'ils descendent. C'est à voir. Merci.
In English, could you just answer the question about the appetite or what you're hearing from constituents about whether people want to see an election soon?
Well, what I can tell you is that there's different points of views on there. There's some people who are saying they want an election. There's people who don't want an election. We even heard that after the last election, right after the last election, right? And so we will see where things go from here on in. I can tell you, I was looking at emails yesterday that were from people who did not want an election. And so, as I said, there's different points of views. We will see where everything goes, and we're going to continue to roll up our sleeves to get things done.
Your party will be going to vote by.
Did I watch the U.S. debate? Yeah, I watched part of it. I think it was pretty clear to most of us.
Coming a bit closer.
Sure.
Mr. Julian was saying that this is not just about planning for the parliamentary session, but there's also strategy for the next election campaign. You've been through a few campaigns now with Mr. Singh as leader. Is anything going to be different? What are your thoughts on the strategy for your party this next campaign?
Well, we're just getting into it. We were here yesterday talking about, the return of the House, how we're going to approach that. I think we've got lots of work to do for Canadians. Obviously, there's a lot on people's minds. And I'm looking forward to being back after the summer in the House and standing up for the people of Skeena.
How fast should we have an election?
How fast should we have an election? Yeah, I hear a variety of things. I hear from people who want an election right away, and I hear from people who'd like to see it in October. So, you know, I think it's going to depend on the government. It's going to depend on what bills they bring forward, and we're going to fight every single vote to have the backs of Canadians.
It's going to depend on you too.
In terms
Yeah, for sure.
going vote by vote, like, is it clear in your mind what will be your red lines, what will be your guardrails for determining whether you support the government or whether you vote against them?
At this point, we're going to take each vote as it comes. We're going to look at what the government puts forward. You know what we stand for. We know what we stand for on behalf of Canadians. Things like dental care and pharmacare, which are already, well, in the case of dental care, already helping hundreds of thousands of Canadians. So we're going to defend that work, and we're going to work for more wins for Canadians. I think this has been an historic minority parliament. We've gotten a lot of work done for people. If you look at those programs, they represent the biggest expansion of public health care in a generation, certainly in my lifetime. And that's something that we're extremely proud of. It's something we're going to defend you know, every single day in the House of Commons, and we're going to try to build on. There's a lot more work to do.
What are the wins you're looking for? What are the wins you're looking for other than the prices of groceries?
Other than the prices of groceries? Well, obviously affordability is the number one thing on people's minds. That's what I hear. Yeah, for sure, for sure. The other things we're going to fight for, defending healthcare. You know, we have a conservative government.
Precisely what policies? Like,
precisely what policies? When it
we want to defend healthcare. No, you're going to ask for specific things.
Well, for sure. We want to see dental care, the promise of dental care completed. There's a lot of work to do still across the country. In Northwest BC, we still don't have the dentists all signed up. Pharmacare, we have a framework, but that's not complete yet. So there's much work to do on that. We're going to keep pushing for wins on all of those things and defending public health care from the Conservatives. Absolutely new wins.
What do you think your party needs to do differently to beat Peter Julian? Because you're not right now. So what do you think you need to do differently this fall?
Well, I think carrying a positive vision that reflects the values of Canadians, and one of the things that Canadians value is universal health care, having each other's backs, lifting each other up, especially during difficult times when people are struggling.
But Liberals are already talking about that. Liberals are going to be out selling dental care. They're going to be out talking about pharmacare. How is the NDP going to distinguish itself? Because that kind of feels like the challenge that's in front of you guys. So how are you going to tell Canadians that you're different than what the Liberals have?
Well, I think the Canadians have been watching the Liberals over the past year, and they haven't been impressed by what they've seen. What they've seen are half measures and broken promises. They've seen a party that isn't able to stand up for their values, and we're going to do that.
But Canadians are not looking to New Democrats as the agents of change. It seems like they're looking to Mr. Poilievre. So what are you going to do to convince Canadians that if they want change, they should vote NDP?
Hey, what I do is I show up every single day. I work hard on behalf of the people I represent. I go out on the doors, I talk to people, I hear their values, I hear their concerns, and I bring that to the House of Commons. It's pretty much that simple.
With respect to
Okay, that's all. Thanks, folks.
For people who
One
may
more?
not understand, like, if you're, for Canadians who are like, well, what changed when the supply and confidence agreement was still in place, and what changed this week? What's different when you go back to Parliament?
Well, we've seen a bunch of things. You know, I represent a riding that has hundreds of rail workers, and they look at a government that's willing to trample on their constitutional rights to organize and to strike. And when they were locked out, the government didn't have their backs. That was a big deal, for sure. We've seen time and time again Canadians be disappointed by this government. We've seen half measures on everything from the climate crisis to affordability. We saw a failure to stand up to the grocery giants when people are going to the grocery store and getting gouged for the food that they need to feed their family. Those are things that really concern people, and frankly, they're not impressed with what they're seeing from the government. Thanks, everyone.
Can we get your just maybe reaction, what your thoughts are on the Harris-Trump debate? Did you watch? No, you didn't watch it.
So you know what? I did watch a little bit of it last night, a good bedtime watching, and you know, I was quite proud of the work that Kamala did last night. It was good to hear her holding Trump to account for his record and for the misinformation that he's spreading, and to see the policies that she's pushing for, and to see you know, the work happening for the American people. So I thought she did very well.
This is the first time we're talking to you at a retreat, so what are you coming to this retreat? What goals are you coming to this retreat with?
Well, you know, just continuing to do the work together, unite it. There's a lot happening right now. People are struggling across Canada. People are struggling in Nanaimo Ladysmith. So to come here, share the things that I heard from people in Nanaimo Ladysmith, to be able to bring those challenges forward and to be able to discuss what's the path forward, what are the solutions that we're going to be fighting for.
The Liberals are in your riding right now. I mean,
Yes.
what do you think of their chances there?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I can't speculate on what the polls are going to look like at this point. I think the most important thing is how people decide to vote on voting day. I will say that people in Nanaimo, Ladysmith have been disappointed in the Liberals for a long time. So it's interesting that they are in Nanaimo, but my hope is that they really take the time to talk to constituents, to hear from them the challenges that they're experiencing, and to finally put through the solutions that my NDP colleagues and I have been fighting for the people in Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Did you hear about the deal when you spoke to your constituents with the Liberals, and if so, what did you hear about it?
Did I hear about the deal?
That you had with the Liberals when you spoke to your constituents throughout the summer? What did constituents ever bring that up to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people in Nanaimo Ladysmith, I can't even tell you how many people came up to me, sought me out to tell me about the impacts on them of accessing the dental care program. They have, you know, so many people hadn't accessed the dentist or dental care in 5-10 years, and now finally they were. I had people seeking me out to talk about how important it is that we've been fighting for the Pharmacare Act to see the delivery of diabetes medications and devices and contraceptives. So I had so many people talking to me about how happy they were to see the actual impacts of the supply and confidence agreement. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard people talking about the fact that they were happy about the solutions. There were others, of course, that I spoke to who were unhappy with the supply and confidence agreement, as you know. And I just talked to them about why we were in it, which is to fight for people, to get solutions put into place for people. And ultimately, I believe that that's what our democracy is meant to do. We're meant to work across party lines to get things done for people.
If people liked it, why was it scrapped?
Well, you know, we got all that we could out of the Liberals. I'm going to say it was not an easy feat to get them to accomplish what we were able to do. We know that the Pharmacare Act, for example, the Liberals they've been promising that for 30 years, and then finally when the NDP signed onto the supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals, we were able to see that rolling out. It's in Senate, and we'll see what happens moving forward. You know, right now we're not seeing the Liberals moving at the pace that is required to actually meet the needs of constituents, and so it's time for us to move on, to keep fighting for the important things for people, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you so much. I have to go to my meeting.
Next Parliament, what are going to be your guiding principles that determine whether or not you support this government or not? What are going to be
Making sure that the legislation is actually working for people. That's going to be the guiding post.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.